Welcome to Cafe Racer Garage. I am Dan, giving you the skills and inspiration that you need to build a motorcycle that you can be proud of. And today's video, we're actually going to be doing a monoshock conversion on the CB750. When I first purchased this bike, it came with these shock absorbers. I really don't think they're the original ones. However, we're gonna get rid of them and put a YSS in place and make it mono. First up, I'm using the ArcDroid robot plasma cutter tracing function so that I can cut out the first plate, which will be the top mounting plate for the shock absorber. Now bending up the legs, which will be mounted to the bottom of the shock absorber, but I'll need to cut out some plates on the plasma cutter for this as well. I wasn't really happy with the first plates that I came out because I didn't quite follow the line of the bike, so I went ahead and made some more. And the part that I'm making now is actually going to be a mounting plate like a clevis to hold the bottom of the shock and bolted to the swing arm. So I've roughly cut this piece out, as you can see, and I still need to tidy a lot of it up. But one of the things I was meaning to do is do a nice little radius here on all of these edges, but I haven't done that, and I don't know if I've left myself enough material. We'll give it a go and see what happens. So those radiuses worked out well, and the part looks pretty damn cool after a bit of tidying up, but I still have a couple of more parts to make, so I'm not going to count my chickens yet. And I've also painted the final part of the engine for this bike after it came back from the engine rebuilders, and I've got something pretty exciting to share with you about this engine. And let's just say it's gonna have a little bit more power. Let's see if anyone can guess what it is. And the engine assembly video will be coming out pretty soon because this engine is now completely back together and looking amazing, just waiting for the rest of the bike so I can lift it in. And all of the parts came from a company called Moto Australia. If you haven't gone and checked out their new website, they have a ton of stuff for so many different bikes. For this next part, it's going to be the mounting for the top of the shock with 4 bolt holes. This part I think personally turned out the best. The only downside to it is it's going to be pretty much hidden once it's on the bike. So I'm going to have to remake this plate here. I've changed the bolt hole spacings, but I've also made a little bit of a shelf, as you can see along here. And the idea of that is so that when it's in place, as you can see, all of the pressing power from the shock is going to be pushing hard up against that rather than using the shear strength from the bolts. I think that's just adding a bit more strength to it, but let's cut this new plate out and see how we go. Having this ArcDroid robot has really sped up the process of me making parts, because all I need to do now is just make something out of cardboard and then trace it and press go, and it'll cut it out perfectly every single time. So these particular parts here, I'm not super happy with. I like the design, but I'm just going to slightly change them. As you can see, it just curves there and then goes like this. Whereas I want it to come around and then follow the line of the bike so that it straightens out just about here. So there's going to be another bend around about there. So let's remake those and see how they look. I think compare this one here with the new design, and just having that extra bend just here, I feel like makes all the difference. Let's remove the old one and tack on the new ones. So one of the things you'll notice about a lot of my videos, and especially this one, is if I make a part and I'm not 100% happy with it, I won't hesitate to remake that part. Even if it costs me a little bit more time and a bit of material, it's well worth it in the end, because everything on a motorcycle is on display. You can't really hide things away. Not like on a car, you can put it under the bonnet or under the car somewhere. These things are always being seen by everybody who walks past it, so if you can do the best you can with the tools and the machinery you have, you can be proud of the thing you've made. After installing this on the bike, I'm not 100% convinced this is the way I'm going to go, so I'm going to make another one for the other side, but just slightly change the design and see how that looks. And I've also noticed an extra hole here, which I've checked the book and I've also checked with some schematics, and nothing else has that hole, so I feel like someone's done a bit of a retrofit of perhaps a set of shocks on this bike at some point. So there's been quite a few changes in the process of making this particular part. This is the 40x40 steel that you can see that I've machined out. And then I realized I might move to round bar because it'll be a lot faster to do on my metal lathe. So then I got some round bar, 40mm, and started machining that out on here. As you can see, I'm working on another version right now. But this is what I ended up with. And although it works and it looks okay on the bike, I feel like I can make it look even better. So we're on version number 3, I think. And I also shaped up a little bit of foam for another slightly different idea that I had as well. Not sure if I'm going to go that way, but there's another design that I think would look nice. But this time around, we're going to go with some 6061 aluminium. So the last piece to make all this work will be made of 2 parts. One's going to be steel and the other one's going to be alloy, and the alloy section is going to have an external thread, whereas the steel will have an internal thread. I tried my luck using some locking pliers and realized this worked horribly because I didn't have the right tool to hold this, and just decided to make my own because it was quicker to do that than it would have been to actually go down the road and purchase one. So I think that part looks a lot better than the first one I made, and all I need to do now is make a tapered steel collar for this to screw into, and then we can tie everything together. So the shock absorber has arrived from YSS Australia, and the shock that I was using just as a mock-up is actually for another bike. So this one is red to match with the rest of the bike. And if you've been thinking about upgrading the shocks on your motorcycle, whether you're doing a monoshock like me or you want to replace the original shocks with something way better, YSS are an amazing brand. I have them on every single one of my bikes. I cannot fault them. And for all of my Aussies, if you're looking at where to purchase them from, YSS Australia is where I go. The owner, Ezzy, is a world of knowledge. So if you're a little bit confused as to which ones to get for your bike, have a chat with him and he can hook you up and make sure you get the right ones for you. If you want to see another monoshock conversion that I've done on a Yamaha XJ650, I'll leave that right here. But soon we're going to be chopping off this subframe and creating a fully custom one with an integrated tail light. But for that, I'll be getting a frame jig from a company called Chop Sauce. I can't wait. This is going to be awesome.